Good morning from beautiful Brisbane, Australia. How are you this morning? Or if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, how are you this evening? It's wonderful to be here with you. Welcome to the Academy for Complex Trauma, where we help you break free from complex PTSD and everything that goes with it. My name's Linda. I'm your certified trauma recovery coach. And today, being Monday, we're going to have a chat about depression. Mainly because it's a real challenge when we've got complex PTSD to identify when it's happening, when we've been triggered, and what we need to do, and different ways of looking at it. And I say this because it's such a big challenge for me at times as well. So when, initially I thought, oh my goodness, if I can just conquer the anxiety trigger, life will be wonderful. It'll be good and everything. And don't get me wrong, it is. But I didn't know that underneath the anxiety, once I'd resolved that I'd have this ever ongoing battle with depression. So I was like, oh my goodness, I need to learn as much as I can about it. But then when you learn about the depression, we've still got all the added benefits, and I'm being tongue-in-cheek here, of complex PTSD, which makes the impact of the depression even harder to recognise, and it becomes a very big challenge. So a few years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, I'd get up and I'd get dressed for gym, and next thing you know, as I'd be sitting there, I'd put my shoes on, next thing you know, I couldn't move out of the chair. And it took me ages to understand that it was actually depression. I was in a state of depression. And then as I've gone on and learnt about all the neurology from complex PTSD and from the depression and the latest in neurology, I began to be aware enough internally of when the depression trigger would go off. Now, I've done a lot of work and have strategies in place to overcome it, but then this last few weeks, I didn't realise what was happening. Because I came back from Indonesia, happy as, got straight into life, work, getting everything up to date. And then about a week after that, I just kind of hit the floor. I just would be sitting there. Next thing you know, I'd been asleep for hours. I was like, what on earth's going on? And I thought, oh, it's just my whole, nervous system adjusting to everything that I experienced in the 3 weeks away. I must just need rest. But as it went into the second week, I was like, this is crazy. What on earth is happening? And it took me some time to work out that it's the depression trigger, because I myself feel happy with my life and where it's going. And I was just like, oh, I just need rest, or I'm just a bit emotional, or, and this is what we do with complex PTSD, is we minimize everything. It'll be okay. I'll wake up tomorrow and be fine. But then I started having nights where I wouldn't sleep all night, and that's not like me at all. So I was like, after a couple of these nights, and then I slept the next night, I was like, oh, maybe everything's okay. Again, downplaying what's actually happening for me, because that's what we do. And I went, oh my goodness, what is going on? So I'm working away, and as you know, we're having a webinar tomorrow morning instead of the Facebook Live. So I'm working away and I'm feeling happy as, I love my work, love what I put together. And then I went, hang on a sec, this isn't right. There's something not right here. And I started to go through the list of symptoms of depression. And I thought, how is it possible that the depression trigger's gone off and I haven't recognised it, because I feel happy in me? Because we always go, oh my goodness, we marry in our mind that depression means that we feel sad. So I got a list of depression symptoms for us, and I will post them later on the page, so that we can keep them handy. So here are some of the symptoms that we need to look out for. Unexplained aches and pains, an increase in physical complaints such as headaches, back pain, aching muscles, and stomach pain. And oh my goodness, I was just like, I've never ever looked at this list like this before, and I had this constant headache. It just wouldn't go away. And I had stomach pain as well. And I was like, why have I got stomach pain? You know, I haven't changed any of my diet or anything. I had no idea it was all part of depression symptoms. Feeling of helplessness and hopelessness. Now, we have to be really, really careful with this because we're so used to numbing our emotions in order to stay in the present moment and deal with life that we can actually not notice that that's how we're feeling. This is where it becomes a challenge, because if we feel, so part of depression is we can be looking at death as a means of relief. So if you find yourself all of a sudden looking up, ways to end your life, then you really need to get involved and talk to a professional, because it's not you, it's not me, it's not who I am, but this is what the depression trigger starts happening for us, and we've got to build a deeper awareness in order that we can catch it earlier too. An increase of fatigue and sleep problems, loss of interest in activities. So not just a loss of interest in work, but a loss of interest in hobbies, in anything that you're normally involved in and you look forward to. It's just like, oh yeah, can't be bothered today, not going to happen. And the way through that is to make sure we get up and do it anyhow, despite how we're feeling. So last week, I went to my life group. I made sure I got out with friends, and I made these things happen despite how I was feeling. So because I could do them, I was like, oh yeah, I'm okay. It'll be right. Now also anxiety can co-occur with depression. So we can have all the symptoms of anxiety, nervousness, restlessness, or feeling tense. I know I was running around feeling tense, especially with a lack of sleep. Feelings of danger, panic, or dread, rapid heart rate, rapid breathing, increased or heavy sweating, trembling or muscle twitching, trouble focusing or thinking clearly about anything other than the thing that you're worried about. So it's like being a cracked record, you just can't get off what you're worried about. And I think it's important that we take note if we're doing this, so that we go, right, this trigger's gone off and I need to be turning things around so that I can get back on board. One of the key things that we can do is movement. All right, I don't care what movement you do, but get up and move, and do trauma-informed movement and focus your breath, focus your mind on your breathing, because then as you move, you're making the thinking part of your brain get back engaged with the emotional part. Diana says, yes, anxiety with depression, shaky inside. Yeah, that's really valid. Irritability. So escapist or risky behaviour, substance abuse, or misplaced anger. I found that without being conscious of it, I was becoming really emotional. Like I was down at church last night and one of the guys said to me, how you going? Next thing you know, I'm just about bawling my eyes out. I'm like, I'm fine. Yeah, not. You know what I mean? But I sat there and I looked after Abby, my goddaughter, and happy as. But this over-emotional response was happening as well. Changes in appetite or weight. This is the first time I've really noticed that I was actually eating less. And also, another thing that we can do is all of a sudden we're picking up junk food all the time. Um, oh, I'm having these symptoms now. Then you need to, get back into Tim. So if your emotions are uncontrollable and it makes you feel really like it's ashamed that you can't get control of your emotions, know that it's happening at the neurological level. So we need to do something. Diane and I, we did the trauma-informed movement, and this morning, I hadn't slept all night, but I realised the depression trigger went off. So at 5, I was like, bang, up at gym. And what I realised at gym this morning too was we need to push ourselves in order that the body and the brain reconnecting together. And when I'd exerted myself enough, I could literally feel the energy, like stuff moving around in my brain. And I went, this feels really odd, and I'd have a hard time describing it. But I went, this is what we need, is that our heart needs to be pumping and it's pushing the blood through our brain and the oxygen and everything. And I came home and actually did some trauma-informed movement as well. And I'm like, oh my goodness, we've got to grab hold of that space inside ourselves that's filled with determination and desire to be free so that we can take action, because that's where we get our strength from, is to stand up and say, I'm going to do this. I might fall apart later on and have a sleep, but who knows? But I need to move my body. I've got to get all the internal stuff moving and back on track. It's not easy, but it's worth it. And concentration problems. So trouble focusing and making decisions or remembering things. And this is so crucial that we remember this stuff. I will put a link, I'll make a blog post and put a link, because we need to be able to go back to the list and go, yes, that's happening. Because if we don't do that, then we stay stuck. So I used to stay stuck in depression. We lose time. I used to lose so many days at a time because of depression. Days would go by and I wouldn't even know. I think, what happened to the days? Where are they? Where they've gone? And it was this depression. It was this fog. And I didn't even realise it. But once you build that awareness, it's like, okay, I can get this happening. And now I don't lose time. I'm just losing sleep. Mustn't need it. Okay, so I hope that's helped, and I want you to feel confident within you. And remember, if we've never had confidence, then we start feeling it. We imagine what confidence would feel like, and then our whole system gets used to feeling that, and then we can embody it even more. And we can do that with any emotion. Sorry, I just made some notes as well. So, and one of the significant indicators, key indicators when the depression hits, is that you can't or you don't do some normal self-care things like showers, changing clothes, eating properly, except, all the things that you would normally do in your day, you keep putting them off. Oh, it'll be right, I'll have a shower tomorrow. Oh, it'll be right, I'll have a shower tomorrow, until you realise 4 days have gone past and you haven't had a shower. And that's depression. It's not your fault. It's part of what happens when the trigger goes off. But we have to grab hold of our determination to turn this around. Okay? To turn our behaviours around so that our emotions get on board, and then we get the logical part of the brain back on board as well. And I want you to remember that depression is insidious, okay? It proceeds in a gradual, subtle way, but with really harmful effects. And if we can grab hold of it and take note of it, then we get to break free of it progressively more and more quickly. So where once upon a time I'd lose days at a time and not know that I'd lost days at a time, I used to look, at one stage I looked back over a year and I went, how was I not productive? And that's when I realised that the depression trigger had gone off a lot, whereas now I'm able to be productive, but, I lose time with having to sleep at odd times, that sort of thing. So if you're not in the trauma-informed movement group, just let me know and I'll give you the link for it. It's all free, because I think we all need to be able to have resources where we can take back what's been happening in our brain for a very long time. Okay, have a gorgeous day, and Monday is beautiful in Australia, by the way. I woke up and there was a rainbow in the sky as I drove to gym, so I went, it's going to be a good week. And I'll put the link to this blog post with all of this information in it up on the page later on today. Thanks for joining in, girls and guys, and I won't see you tomorrow morning because we're doing the webinar in the group. I'll just put the link up for the webinar if you're interested, and I will see all of you Wednesday morning. Bye for now.